You ever wake up and just know something's wrong? Not because of a noise or a nightmare, but because your body feels violated. That morning, I woke up with the taste of metal on my tongue, a weird ache behind my eyes, and a lightness around my shoulders that made my heart drop. The mirror confirmed it. My hair, my chestnut waist-length grown with patience. Hair was gone, hacked off, uneven, brutal, like someone had attacked me in my sleep. And they had, not a stranger, my parents. I stared at the mirror, breath caught in my throat. The ends were jagged, like someone used craft scissors. And that's exactly what it was. Sitting on my dresser, still open, with the same blue-handled scissors my mom used to cut coupons and junk mail. Next to it, a sticky note, still pretty, just not too much. It's Harper's Day. That was the knife, not the scissors. The note. I thought I was having a panic attack. My heart was racing. My palms were sweaty. And the silence in the room felt loud. On the pillow next to me were clumps of my hair, like pieces of myself left behind. During the night, I rushed to the kitchen. My dad didn't even look up from his cereal. "Oh, good. You're up," he said, like we were talking about coffee. "Less hair makes your face look less distracting." "That's good. Don't pull. Focus." My mom, across from him, sipped her coffee and added, "It's Harper's wedding, Celia. Let her shine." Shine? I wasn't wearing sequins. I wasn't walking in with a tiara. I was just planning to wear a navy blue silk dress I'd bought with my own salary and deliver a speech. A short, warm one. My only role, the only time anyone would look at me. And they took that, too. The betrayal wasn't loud. It wasn't some movie-level yelling match. It was quiet, controlled, almost practiced, like they'd talked about this plan for days. It wasn't about hair. It was about erasure. They drugged me. NyQuil and a cup of chamomile tea the night before so I'd sleep through it. So I couldn't fight back. And what's wild? I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just froze. Because this wasn't new. It was just the first time they'd used scissors. They'd been trimming me down for years, cutting out my moments, dimming my light. Harper got violin lessons, Paris graduation trips, a car with a bow on it. I got hand-me-downs and be grateful speeches. But I RSVP'd to her wedding anyway. I still showed up. I still hoped because that's what kids like me do. Even when we know we're not the favorite, we pray for one moment of belonging. But now I knew this wasn't forgettable. This wasn't forgive and move on. This was the kind of wound that deserved a response. And what came next? Let's just say it ended up on a lot of revenge stories playlists for a reason. I didn't go to work that day. I couldn't. I sat in my apartment, hair freshly chopped, eyes still burning from the night before, just existing. You know that feeling when you're not even sure if you're angry or just embarrassed for expecting something better. That was me. That was all of me. Becca, my roommate, best friend, maybe the only real family I had, came over with a bag of bagels and the kind of silence that only people who get it can give you. She didn't ask, "Are you okay?" She just sat, looked at me for a few seconds, and said, "They did this to you on purpose, didn't they?" I nodded. Not even a dramatic one. Just enough. And then I whispered, "I still RSVP'd. Yes. I still thought maybe this time it would be different." She didn't laugh, didn't say, "You're too forgiving." Just picked up my phone off the table and said, "Have you been recording them?" That question jolted me a bit because, yeah, actually I had. Not to be sneaky, but because when you grow up around people who gaslight you so well, you start to need proof, even if it's just for your therapist, just to replay and say, "Did I imagine that? Or was it really that cruel?" I opened the voice memos app. Click. My mom's voice soft and sharp. She posted another photo again, trying to be seen. It's always like she needs attention. Then my dad, "Pretty girls ruin weddings. Cut her down before she walks in like she owns the place." Becca looked at me. She didn't even blink. Just said, "This is not normal." And I said, "It was for me." That hit her. It hit me, too. Because when your normal is being dismissed, mocked, or treated like an inconvenience, you don't notice the pain anymore. You only notice the silence when it's finally not there. I think some of you might know what I mean. Like, if you've ever had to rehearse how to ask your parents something because you knew they'd say no, or worse, make you feel stupid for even asking. You're already halfway into this story with me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't dramatic. I was conditioned. That day, I didn't just remember the scissors or the note or the mirror. I remembered the little things. The violin Harper never touched after age 12, but I wasn't allowed lessons because they're expensive. The Paris trip for her graduation, while I was working weekends at the bookstore, saving up for community college. The time Mom told me not to smile too much in group photos. You draw attention. They didn't just cut my hair. They'd been trimming me out of the picture since I could walk. And you know what? I let them. But that stops now. The thing about silence is it's not always peaceful. Sometimes it roars loud, echoey, especially when you're sitting there, realizing just how long you've been lied to. After that morning with Becca, we started digging, not for revenge, but for clarity. That voice memo had opened a door I hadn't dared to look behind. What else had I accepted as normal that was really calculated? I remembered something. When I was 16, my grandma, my dad's mom, took me aside and said, I set up a little fund for you. Nothing crazy, but it's yours when you need it. It was the first time someone made me feel like I mattered, outside of being useful. But when she passed away 2 years later and I asked about the fund, my mom told me coldly, she must have changed her mind. There's nothing left. Let it go. And I did. Because that's what I was taught to do. But now Becca looked me dead in the eye and said, you need to check. Seriously. We contacted a lawyer Becca knew through work, someone who specialized in financial probate. It took 3 days. 3 long, nerve-wracking days. And then I got the call. The fund hadn't disappeared. It had been transferred. Every cent of it, $24,800, moved to a joint account in my parents' name. The date of the transfer, 6 months before Harper's wedding. Deposit. Yeah, that wedding wasn't just built on fake smiles and Pinterest boards. It was built with my money. My grandmother's final gift taken, signed over, and spent without my knowledge. When the lawyer asked if I wanted to pursue legal action, I didn't even hesitate. But deeper than the anger, deeper than the violation was something colder. They never saw me as their daughter. They saw me as collateral. Becca sat across from me that night, while I held the documents in shaking hands. She said, you always wanted to believe it was favoritism, but this is theft. She was right. And something cracked open in me. It wasn't about the money. It was about the erasure. The way they always spoke around me. The way they invited me to holidays like it was a formality. The way they dressed Harper like a doll and handed me coupons. I'd always thought it was me, like I was hard to love, hard to be proud of. But no, they made that up. They needed me to feel less so they could keep Harper more. And I know some of you watching this, you felt that, too. That sense. That no matter what you do, how hard you work, how quietly you try to earn your spot, you're still the outsider in your own family. If you feel that in your bones right now, you're not imagining it. You're not wrong. They are. And I was done letting wrong feel like home. I didn't sleep the night before the rehearsal brunch. Not a wink. Not because I was scared. Not anymore. It was something else. A hum under my skin. Like my body had been waiting years for this moment. Not the wedding. Not the dress, the mic. Becca came over early and helped clean up my uneven hair, smoothing it into a sharp bob that made my face look more intentional. She grinned when she finished. You look like a woman who's about to burn the script. I didn't bring the speech my mom gave me. Some generic mess about sisterhood and forever bonds. Instead, I printed my own. 2 pages folded in half, tucked into my clutch like a blade. The vineyard was exactly what I expected. Filtered sunlight, pastel florals, white tablecloths, and fake laugh energy. The kind of event where everyone pretends the family is close, pretends the bride is glowing from love, not obsession, pretends I was ever wanted. There. I waited, watched. Harper floated Around like a princess. My mom adjusted her dress strap like a stylist. My dad chatted up Harper's in-laws like he'd raised royalty. I kept sipping water. Quiet, calm. When it was time for the toasts, the host gestured to me, smiling. Like nothing happened. And now the bride's sister, Celia. I stood, walked to the mic, looked at them, and said, "Hi, everyone. I know I'm not the favorite daughter. That's never been a secret, but today I'm not here to pretend." You could feel it, the tension shift. A cousin dropped his fork. My mom's smile froze mid-lip. I was going to say nice things about growing up together, about how weddings are about love and unity. But then I remembered something. I pulled out my phone. Press play. Mom's voice. She thinks she'll outshine Harper in that dress. Don't worry, we'll fix that. Dad's voice. Girls like her need reminders. We'll cut it while she sleeps. Gasps. Real ones. Audible. I saw Harper's groom, Greg, go pale. He looked over at Harper. She wouldn't meet his eyes. I was drugged with NyQuil. While I slept, they cut my hair so I wouldn't ruin the photos. And why? Because I dared to show up, because I still exist. My dad stood up red-faced. That's enough. I didn't flinch. No, Dad. That's finally just right. You don't get to cut me out of the frame and still call it a family photo. I stepped back. Didn't cry. Didn't run. I just left the mic where it was, hot, cracked open, unapologetic. They wanted quiet. I gave them a reckoning. I didn't think it would blow up. I really didn't. Becca uploaded the video that night. Just a clip, 2 minutes of my speech at the brunch, plus the audio recording, plus a simple caption. This is what happens when you weaponize family. By morning, it had over 800,000 views. By lunch, over 2 million. People weren't just watching, they were sharing, stitching it, quoting it. TikTokers reenacted it. Reddit lit up. Twitter turned it into a full-blown discourse about emotional abuse, parental favoritism, and what it means to be erased in plain sight. I didn't even know what was happening until Becca showed me her phone. You're viral. Like, very viral. I stared at the screen. Comments from strangers. I saw myself in her. This is why I went no contact. They cut her hair but couldn't cut her voice. But it wasn't just internet strangers. 3 days later, I got an email. A journalist from Bridal Reclaimed magazine. She said, "Your story isn't just shocking, it's brave. Would you be open to a photo shoot and interview?" I almost didn't respond, but something in me, the same girl who used to stay quiet at dinner tables, who dimmed her smile in family photos, said, "Why not?" The shoot was surreal. They wrapped me in bold silks, sharp lines, shimmering fabrics. They styled my bob, added gold liner to my eyes, and in the center of it all, the headline, "The Uninvited Sister Who Stole the Spotlight," not with drama, but with truth. That hit different because for years I was taught that telling the truth was dangerous, that my voice was the problem, that being seen was selfish. Now the world was saying, no, being seen is power. But the real twist came in a message from someone I never expected. Greg Harper's husband. Well, ex-husband. Now. He messaged, I left. She wasn't who I thought. I found an entire folder of burner Instagram accounts. She'd been posting hate about you online for years, and your parents knew. He attached screenshots, comments Harper made under fake names. Try hard, jealous older sister, pathetic. I wasn't surprised. I was just tired. Tired of pretending I didn't see the pattern. Tired of blaming myself for being the one they didn't want. But that exhaustion, it turned into something sharper. A week later, I got a second message. This time from Cynthia Ray, CEO of a fashion brand that redefined image through storytelling. Her daughter had gone through something similar. She saw the video she wanted to meet. 2 coffees later, she offered me a job, creative director for a new campaign called You Can't Cut Power. Photo shoots, interviews, press tours, TEDx invitations. I wasn't chasing attention. I was chasing freedom. And suddenly, I was no longer the girl they cut down. I was the woman they couldn't reach anymore. 3 months after the brunch, I stood in front of a building that used to terrify Me. Downtown, same street my parents used to walk me past on the way to Harper's piano recital. Always rushing, never looking at me long enough to notice I existed. Now that street had something new. Floor-to-ceiling windows, warm lighting, and across the glass, power cannot be cut. Cynthia Ray and I opened our first creative office for the campaign right there in my hometown. Not in New York, not in LA, right here where they erased me. That opening night, we hosted a soft launch party. Press came. Local designers, activists, survivors, even a few old classmates I hadn't seen since high school. The ones who used to whisper when I walked into class. Now, they were asking about internships. Funny how tables turn when you build your own. But the real moment was when they showed up uninvited, unannounced. My parents walked in like they were guests of honor. My mom wore oversized sunglasses. Indoors, her signature red lipstick, slightly smudged. My dad, thinner, quieter, carrying the kind of guilt that clings to the corners of someone who's lost control. They looked around and for a second I think they didn't recognize me. Hair short, posture tall, surrounded by people who actually saw me. My mom spoke first, her voice soft. "We're proud of you." I smiled. Not cruel. Not fake, just done. "That's funny," I said. "You haven't been proud of me since I had braces." My dad chuckled awkwardly. "We all make mistakes. Families heal, right?" I stepped toward the front desk, where one of my interns was organizing welcome cards. "We take feedback seriously here," I told them without turning back. "Would you like to leave a comment card?" They stood frozen. They weren't used to being invisible. But that's what happens when you build something without them. They don't know how to exist in it. As they turned to leave, I spoke one last time. "By the way, next time you try to cut down a daughter to elevate another, just remember scissors dull, but some girls sharpen." They didn't come back, and I didn't need them to because I finally understood. Their approval wasn't the prize. Their silence wasn't sacred, and their house was never home. To everyone watching, have you ever had someone treat your quietness like weakness? Or felt like you had to fight just to exist inside your own family? If you've ever been the one they didn't pick, didn't protect, didn't believe in, tell me below. What would you say now if they had to listen? Or just drop a still here? Because sometimes that's all we need to be seen, to be named, to know we weren't imagining it. Thank you for listening to my story. And if it found you at the right time, I hope you never forget. You were never the problem. You were just never the favorite. But that doesn't mean you don't shine.